Laura, thank you. Our top story this morning, David Cameron is demanding that schools accused of religious extremism should not be given notice of inspections in future.
Yes, it's claimed Islamic fundamentalists were able to cover up their activities at schools in Birmingham because they knew inspectors were coming.
A report says officials found a classroom culture which was unwelcoming to non-Muslims.
The way in which Islam in Britain has been scrutinised since 9/11 has had a detrimental impact on the everyday lives of Muslims. From associations of terrorism to suggesting that public and private iterations of religion are sinister, Muslims in Britain have been faced with numerous allegations that they are infiltrating and polluting areas of life not reserved for them. We see this unfolding in schools too, where Islam has been mischaracterised in curriculums and Muslim staff and students viewed as having ulterior motives. Take, for example, the Trojan Horse affair, which unfolded in 2013. Muslim governors and educators were suspended from their professions in schools across Birmingham for allegedly trying to Islamify curriculums and schools whilst bringing in more hardline Muslims. These allegations were never proven, and yet had detrimental consequences for Muslims across the education landscape. The teachers remained struck off, and Muslims in education continue to resist against characterizations which vilify them and their right to practice their religion without state intervention. The introduction of the Prevent Duty in 2015, which is a counter-extremism measure made statutory in schools, cemented ideas that Muslims are associated with extremism and terrorism. What this means is that teachers or other staff members are required to report individuals they believe are at risk to extremism and radicalisation as part of their safeguarding duties. What has been underreported in scholarship on prevent and securitisation in Britain is how measures such as the Prevent Duty have had an adverse effect on educators racialised as Muslims. Questions need to be asked as to what their experiences are as Muslims in schools and how they are expected to implement a policy which not only stigmatises their religious communities but stigmatises them too. Here are some examples of two Muslim male teachers from 2018 speaking about how their religious identities were deemed problematic in the school environment. Khalid was a secondary school teacher in Islington who trained as a teacher via Teach First. He described himself as a practicing Muslim and said that he
was usually in trouble by the staff or senior leaders for something Islam related,
such as requesting prayer space. Before starting his job, Khalid requested through Teach First
to make sure I don't have a lesson to teach on Fridays between a certain period of time,
to allow him to attend Friday prayers. When his request was denied by the school, Khalid was asked to attend a meeting with senior leaders and a Muslim representative of Teach First. During the meeting, Khalid said that he was told that the senior leaders had
concerns that I had intentions to form religious societies in school, a Muslim society in school. They were just ensuring I had no intention of that and I wasn't going to engage in anything that was overtly religious in school, and they reminded me that it's a secular school and it promotes no religion.
Despite his request being denied, Khalid was able to complete his prayers during his breaks and even led Friday prayers, including the sermon which precedes the prayer. On one occasion, as Khalid finished his prayer, he recalled that a senior leader walked past the room which had
floor-to-ceiling glass windows so you can see in.
He was called into a meeting with her urgently and was told that it was unacceptable and a serious thing that he was leading Friday prayers. After the involvement of other staff members, the senior leader concluded that she was shocked there was a Friday prayer taking place in school, not that he was leading it. Rizwan was a secondary school teacher in South East London. He had multiple encounters with his managers about how he could practice his faith in school, especially when it came to praying alongside students.
They didn't want me to pray in congregation with the students, and then it was, okay, you can pray with the students, but you have to pray in an enclosed room because we don't want other people to see, because it was glass walls. And then it was, we don't want non-Muslims to go into the prayer area because parents might mind. And then I said, why would parents mind? It's open to everyone. Wasn't that the whole point? They're like, we don't want non-Muslim mums and dads thinking they're being forced into it or something about it should be allowed there. they say, isn't it a safeguarding issue? And then they shot themselves in the foot because I said, how is this a safeguarding issue? What makes it a safeguarding issue? So then they mentioned the obvious reference. The only thing anyone can think of as to why it's a safeguarding issue is because it's a religious thing.
These are just two examples which show how these Muslim men have encountered difficulties in their workplace as Muslim teachers. Praying the congregational prayer on Friday became seen as a safeguarding issue, despite these teachers already having the necessary clearance to complete their teaching duties. It's clear that the Trojan Horse affair overshadowed interactions Muslim teachers had with other staff members and students, meaning that extracurricular clubs relating to Islam or proximity to other Muslim students always resulted in suspicion. An important point to note is that inequalities faced by those racialised as non-white in schools has a long history in the UK and did not begin with the Prevent Duty or the Trojan Horse affair. It's clear, though, that the racialisation of Muslims as potential extremists and terrorists was encouraged by the War on Terror and subsequent unfolding of counter-terrorism legislation in the UK.
They were claims which put schools in Birmingham into the national spotlight. Claims of a plot by Muslims to take control of schools across the city.